Thank you for joining me on a glorious summer's day here in Staffordshire in the English Midlands. And welcome once again to Woke Watch, an ongoing series of videos where I find woke stories on the internet and expose woke ideology for the utter bullshit that it is. So today I'll begin by asking one question. What is a woman? What is a Woman is the title of an excellent 2022 documentary made by the Daily Wire, presented by Matt Walsh, a presenter, writer, as well as a father and a husband. I'm fortunate enough that I saw it when it first aired last year, but last week it aired in its entirety on Twitter and has gone on to be one of the most viewed online documentaries of all time. Here's the trailer.
What is a woman? Can you tell me that? Well, you're at the Women's March. You must have some idea.
I'm a husband. I'm a father of four. I host a talk show. I give speeches. I write books. I like to make sense of things.
A woman is not anything in particular.
There is not one particular thing.
It could be many things to many people.
Some women have penises, right? Some men have vaginas.
And so they go on the internet and they're told that all of their problems will be solved if they become a man.
There are masculine girls. There are feminine boys. What are we going to do about that? Carve them up?
I care about the truth. I care about children. I care about the women who are having their opportunities stolen from them.
Based on what I'm saying, would you ever want to move to America?
They say no, never.
I cannot recommend that film enough, but in that clip we saw a person claim that some women have penises and some men have vaginas. As that interview goes on in the film, it transpires that that person, who is clearly female, says she is not a woman, and that that woman, who doesn't think she's a woman, is a professional therapist. Now, as a former therapist, and trust me, I find it hard to believe as well, but there was a time when I thought humanity was worth saving, I saw my role as facilitating the client working through their emotional and mental problems, not fucking reinforcing them, and definitely not bringing any batshit crazy ideas I may have and throwing them into the mix. But the reason I've asked what is a woman is because in recent years, and usually to appease very woke and very violent trans activists, the way in which we refer to women is being changed. Traditional words are being erased and replaced with dehumanising phrases like birthing parents, chest feeders, bleeders, uterus owners. And now one very prestigious university has decided to erase an aspect of womanhood. Johns Hopkins University, which I think is in Baltimore in the USA, a world leader in scientific research, is changing the definition of one of the letters for the LGBTQIA community in order, it says, to be more inclusive. And that letter refers to the word lesbian. Personally, my definition of the word lesbian, aside from it being the first thing that comes up in the predictive text on my smartphone when I tap the letters L and E, I would say a lesbian is a woman who is attracted to, be it physically, sexually, emotionally, or a combination of all of those, exclusively to other women. A lesbian is a homosexual female. Well, according to Johns Hopkins University, lesbian means, and I quote, a non-man who is attracted to non-men. Rather unsurprisingly, this sparked something of a backlash, and not just from lesbians, but from every sane person who read the story. Because if we say that a lesbian, which we know is a woman, is in fact a non-man, that reduces all women to just not being men. And that's fucking disgusting. Using that definition, magnets are now lesbians, because magnets are not men, but they are attracted to other magnets. In fact, we can go even more ridiculous. If a dog is fucking a chair leg, the dog isn't a man and neither's the chair leg. So using the same definition, when Scruffs is banging away at the wingback, that is actually sapphic lovemaking. And we can take it even further, because a male isn't a man until he's gone through puberty. So a young lad having a crush on his primary school teacher is now also a lesbian. However, the university's definition of a gay man remains unchanged. Gay men are men. But it says the definition of lesbian can be changed because women use that term, but so do trans women and gender non-binary people. So once again, we see that wokeness is pure fucking misogyny. Men are men, but lesbians are women, trans women, and confused half-wits who don't know what gender they are. But I think it actually borders on something much darker. The person responsible for implementing the change in the language is Paula Neera. And if you're thinking, dear God, she's an ugly cow, Paula is a trans woman. Hard to guess, I know. And there are some convincing trans women, which is the reason I'll never go to Thailand. And there are some people who are born with a horrible mental illness called gender dysphoria, where they feel they've been born in the wrong body, and those people do need surgery to correct things. However, for many trans women, I will say this. Because you're fuck ugly with no social skills, it doesn't mean you're a different gender. Whenever the disease of wokeness comes out of its designated safe space to rear its screaming, irrational head, more often than not, it's women and children who suffer, particularly when it's about gender ideology. Women are being erased from the language, replaced in their own sports, and their safe spaces are no longer safe. They're now in danger of physical and sexual assault. Children are being brainwashed. Some are being put on hormone blockers, which are the same chemicals used for chemical castration of paedophiles, or having irreversible surgeries. And my concern is this. If what the university is doing, changing the definition of the word lesbian, becomes commonplace, it will make it easier for predatory trans women to prey on young or vulnerable lesbians. Based on the UK prison population, we know that when it comes to sex offenders, trans women are in a different league. No other demographic comes near to them. But there are some trans women who are so deluded that they think that they are lesbians, and they think that gay women will be attracted to them. But why would they? Now, I'm not a lesbian, I'm a straight man, so I'm attracted to women. I am in no way attracted to trans women. Because, sorry to say this, I like real women, not the equivalent of a cheap Chinese knockoff. And I'll use a very woke phrase here. I'm guessing that the majority of lesbians have a genital preference. And for someone who prefers the female form, they're unlikely to want a raging hard-on rammed up against their face. Because only 15% of trans women have bottom surgery. The other 85% are wandering around with fully intact gentleman vegetables. Also, on Twitter, I've seen photographs of trans women who've had the op, what their vaginas look like. And there are some things which my eyes just can't unsee. That genitalia doesn't look anything like any woman I've seen. I was going to say came across, but that would sound wrong. To me, it's like before the op took place, the patient said to the doctor, "Surgeon, please put me under, cut my cock and balls off, and when you've done that, get into your car and drive down a country lane. And when you find some roadkill, bring it back and attach it between my legs." But I do have some limited experience of being a lesbian. If you've not seen this channel before, I don't blame you, it's just me spouting crap. But to bring you up to speed, a couple of months ago, I went onto a lesbian dating app, which I'd heard through a news story, was booting off women who were refusing to date trans women. So this was me, Danielle. That's actually Brett Cooper from the Daily Wire. And Danielle got a lot of interest because, let's be blunt, Brett's very hot. But as soon as I pushed back against a trans woman who was hitting on me, straight away I was a bitch, a slut and a whore and threatened with physical and sexual violence. Do we need to make it any easier for those type of people to prey on women? Nonetheless, I think this is a good story because there was such a pushback against the university for changing the definition of the word lesbian. And like I said, not just from lesbians, from anyone who's sane. The downside is that the trans woman who implemented it seems to be unaware that the backlash would have taken place. At the start of this video, I asked one question. What is a woman? A woman is an adult human female. As ever, thanks for watching.